on. You guys ready for a good hour together?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad you're here. We should have more hopping on. And we have a special visitor today, my niece Lucy. Since she's here at the beginning, I'm going to announce her. Yeah. She loves to hop on the webinars and learn about real estate. So I'm always glad when she can do that. I love you. All right, guys, let's get into this. So today, oh, wait, I got to stop that. Can you guys still hear that? I could. Okay. So hopefully sound is off. All right. So today, what are we talking about? Motivation, right? And let's talk a little bit about why that is so important. Okay. Because when the market was hot a few years ago, everybody that needed to buy felt like they could, right? They had to compete pretty hard. How did sellers feel? They felt like they could absolutely sell their house if they needed to, right? What else was going on in sellers' minds? They were highly motivated to sell, right? Because if they weren't, they were scared about where they were going to go, right? So a lot of fence sitters. We're going to talk about our fence sitters today, right? So the reason this market is different than we're going to continue to compare to 2021 because most of you were in the market at that time. And if you weren't, you at least know what the market was like at that time. You've heard from those of us who've lived through it, and you know how extreme that market was, right? That was a very extreme seller's market. Okay. And what that meant is buyers were not in control. Buyers were completely out of control. Buyers were giving everything away. They were doing whatever they had to get houses. And the reason for that was because we had way low inventory of properties, right? So as the property inventory is starting to go up, now we've got moving potentially being less critical for people, right? So what happens is as this market is shifting, it doesn't matter why. Okay. So here's one of the things we're going to touch on. There are so many factors that contribute to this, right? Interest rates, the economy, the job force, da, 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 da. I don't even want you to worry about understanding why. Okay. So don't worry about why it's happening. Just pay attention to that it is happening. Okay. And so let's talk about how maybe the motivation has changed. Okay. So what's happening? What are you guys feeling in the motivation of your sellers? Let's start with sellers right now. How motivated are your sellers? Yeah, Yep. And the reason is, right, is because they're trying the market, right? Lots of people don't necessarily have to move, but prices are high. So maybe I'll just try it and see what I could do, right? We're going to get into all of those reasons right now, but that's a huge motivation shift, right? They are not quite as motivated when they come to us to sell. Okay, now here's the thing. The numbers are different, 6 to 9%. The same 6 to 9% will always do real estate no matter what market. Okay. It's a matter of finding the 6 to 9% that's going to do real estate now. Okay. So in any market, there's people who are moving. Our job is to make sure we're finding those people and really focusing on those people. Okay. So here's what we're going to do today. Hold on. Let me share my screen. Sorry. All right. So today we're going to jump into what does motivation look like, right? Why is it important? Okay. So do you guys see that screen? I don't know why you're not in full screen, but you guys see that? Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. So today we're going to go through why does motivation matter, right? What does it feel like? What are you seeing in your businesses? What are you hearing? We're going to look how to spot motivation fast, create some urgency, right? If there's an opportunity to create urgency to get them more motivated, we want to do that. If there isn't, there isn't. And then we want to make sure we're organizing our follow-up based on motivation. Okay. So let's start with, why does motivation matter? Okay. So what is happening right now? Are we seeing fewer deals? You guys feeling like you have fewer deals? Okay. Are you feeling like you have fewer leads? Are you feeling like you have fewer good leads? Okay. Rachel's not having fewer leads. Are you feeling like you're having fewer good leads? Most people. Okay. What about fewer showings? Are you going on fewer showings? Yep. Okay. Yeah. And every bit of that is what points us to this shift happening. Okay. And what this shift is leading to is this red on the right. It's leading to more inventory and fewer pendings, right? More pending fallouts. That's another issue we're seeing right now, because, right, when motivation changes, when you've got a buyer or a seller that is less motivated during the negotiation process, they're also less motivated to give when it comes to inspection issues, right? They are less motivated to come to the table and make something work. They're pointing fingers at everyone else. That's your first sign that their motivation is not high or has shifted, because they start trying to kill deals. We've all had those clients, right? They're trying to just get out of it. Like, we aren't motivated anymore. Okay. So the key today is to make sure that you're paying attention to, it truly is the motivation of the buyers and the sellers that triggers the movement. Okay. So you have to be able to spot high motivation versus some motivation. Okay. And you have to stop chasing leads. You have to chase motives. Okay, here's what this looks like. When we have lots of leads that are not motivated, right? It's a lot of people who aren't willing to set an appointment with you, right? It's a lot of people that maybe want to try it. I might think about buying, right? Could you show me this house, right? You're going to hear hesitation in their voice and in their answers. Okay. And you have to really dig deep for what's motivating them to this move, to make sure. So here's the real key. You have to have more people, right? You have to go find these motivated people. So you have to expand the people you're talking to go find the ones who are motivated. What does that mean? That means you're talking to this many more people to work with this group of motivated people, right? So you're going to be feeling like you're doing a lot more work for less results, right? And if you focus your energy on creating the motivated and focusing on the motivated all the time, the rest of it will fall into place. We tend to do it backwards, right? 2021, every lead was good, right? We did not want to not meet someone at a house because we could lose them and every single lead was good because every single lead was going to close, right? That's not the case now. Not every single lead will close. And even less than that, not every single lead will close in the next 12 months, or back it down to how quickly you need them, right? So we're trying to differentiate that for everyone in the conversation to make sure we're all on the same page motivation wise. Okay. Let's look at the raw triangle. Okay. So you guys have heard me talk about this: ready, willing, and able. Okay. This is the gold standard. A truly motivated client has all three of these and has all three of these at a level 10. Okay. So there's going to be different ranges of these depending on the wants and the needs of the seller and the buyer, right? And what they're dealing with. Your job is to determine how ready are they, how able are they, and how willing are they. Okay, so let's talk about each of these. How do we know a seller is ready to move? What would be some signs that a seller is truly ready to move? And we're talking a level 10 ready.
Their house is
Open up your
ready to
chat
go.
boxes.
Oh, sorry.
Yep, their house is ready to go. What else?
They have a new job.
Okay, something's driving them. They have a deadline that they're trying to get to. Yes, they are ready, right? Their life is ready. Their family is ready, right? These aren't the people that maybe haven't told their kids yet. They're thinking about it, right? Everything is ready. Okay. Now I want you to think of all of these on a scale of 1 to 10. All right. So it's a matter of how ready are they? Okay. Because they might be ready and still have these things to do, right? That's okay. They're just not a 10 ready. That means they're just a 5 ready. And now we've got to work with them to get them to a 10 ready. And we also have to prioritize what we're doing for them based on if they're a 10 ready or a 5 ready. That makes sense? Okay. Now you can't just be ready. Okay. You also have to be able. What falls into our able things?
Is this buying and selling?
Both. Just throw
Okay.
them out. Yep. It applies to both.
Pre-approved. Pre-approved.
Yes. Right. Are they pre-approved? Have they done a budget? Do they know their closing costs? Do they know how rates are fluctuating right now? Are they able to pay whatever rates could increase to? Can they afford their down payment? Are they able to make improvements should some stuff come up on the inspection? Right? All of that stuff. Are they able? And then are they willing? We saw the best example of willing in 2021. Our buyers, if nothing else, were willing to do whatever it took to get these houses, right? That's what high motivation does. It makes them willing to do whatever the cost. Okay. And that's truly what we're looking for. Because what we're finding is we're finding people that might be able to do it, they might be ready to do it, but are they truly willing to do what it's going to take in this market to succeed? Right? The answer, if you think about any of your listings that are sitting and not reducing, the answer to that question, are they willing, is no. I don't even have to know the situation. Think about your sellers, right, that won't reduce or are trying to list for higher. Are they willing to do what it takes to succeed? They're not. Okay. And until you get them there, again, you have to prioritize your energy, your work, right? And everything. Because if you truly know we're missing a piece on this raw triangle, you have to temper the amount of energy you're putting into it, right? And make sure they understand why. Okay. Let's talk about some examples on this next one. You guys tell me if you can't read it. But these are examples of some statements you're hearing as realtors in each of these segments. Okay. So, yeah, they're not ready. You're hearing, we want to sell, but only if we find the perfect home first. Right? How many of you have people like that on your pipeline right now? That is so many, so many, so many. And it creates a big old clog in your pipeline.
Yes.
Right? When you got a bunch of people waiting on the other side of the transaction, right? They are
Yes.
not truly ready, you guys. And you have to dig into that. I'm getting some ahas and amens. Okay, if their lease isn't up, if we're still finishing a remodel, right? What are they still working on? They've got things, they're not ready yet in the house. Willing, if we can get our dream price, we'll sell. Otherwise, we'll just stay. We'll put our house on the market, but we don't want to do any repairs or updates. How many times do you hear that now in this market? That was absolutely not a conversation we were having, right? They were like, yeah, we'll do whatever. We want the highest price possible. We want, right, the most money. And now they're like, yeah, well, we really maybe not want to. Okay. And are they able financially, right? We don't know that we'll qualify. We'd love to buy what we need to do this. We want to move, but right? Whatever the but is, but. That is going to be how you can tell, right? Are all of you hearing this stuff?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So what you have to do is dig deeper to truly find the motivation. Okay. Again, 2021. If someone said, I want to sell my house, it was worth it to go meet with them right there. Right? What this is going to change is that it may not be worth it every single person. You have to pre-qual better. You have to determine, are they highly motivated? And if so, then what next? Okay. So this is where you're going to potentially temper how quickly you jump out to meet people. And it's all going to come down to this. Are they motivated to succeed in the current market they're facing? Okay. Let's talk about buckets of motivation. You guys mentioned some of these. These are pretty easy, right? You guys can figure these out. Deadlines, right? We got a job start. We're relocating to another state for whatever reason, school's starting. Life events. They always say those D's or whatever, death, divorce, and something else I'm forgetting. But all of those life events, right, will create motivation for buyers and sellers. And then financially driven things, rates, market shifts, investment needs. Here's the importance of these buckets, okay? It's not to know why, right? We don't need to know necessarily why it's shifting and what's causing it. What we need to pay attention to is what's shifting in our buyers and sellers' motivation, right? What is it causing to shift? Because think about investors are a really good example right now. Is the current market creating more opportunities or less opportunities depending on how financially driven they are, right? So paying attention to these themes and these patterns of motivation is what's going to allow you to keep an eye on opportunities that are out there in the market and where other motivated buyers and sellers might be. Okay. So one of the practices you should do every time you get a listing and a new buyer, you need to think about, okay, what was the source of that lead to me? Was it a friend, personal client, past client, referral friend, all that kind of stuff? And why are they selling now? Is it something on this list? And as you watch your buyers and sellers come in and answer those two questions, you will see patterns emerge. Those patterns are things you can learn a lot about. Okay. Number one, you can find out what lead sources are working for you at any time, and you will watch those shift as the market shifts. You will also see patterns of what is driving the motivation right now of the buyers and the sellers that are moving in. There is no better data than your own to find out, why are people choosing to sell right now? Who are the people willing to face this market? Buyers and sellers, right? And what's causing them to move right now? Ding, ding, ding. Now, how do I go find more of those? Okay, so that's the other question you've got to keep asking yourself. Now I see what's motivating them. How do I go find more of those people who are motivated to do something in this market? Okay. Now let's talk about the questions you need to ask. Okay. 5 questions, there's only 4. So only 4. If you need a 5th question, I'll give it to you. But these are the questions you have to ask every lead, right? You truly have to know why now. Okay. If they say, we want to buy a house, that's amazing. Why now do you want to buy a house? Right? You've got to dig deeper. What's driving this move? Second, what's your ideal timeline? If you use the pre-qual questions for buyers and sellers in my script book, these are all covered in there. Okay. But I want you to think about asking 2 and 3 questions after they tell you what they're thinking. Okay. Ideal timeline. Have them lay that out for you. And the next 2 questions are the most important. What happens if you wait? What happens if we don't hit that timeline? Okay. That's going to tell you how willing are they to do numerous price reductions? How okay are they to sit on the market 4 months? Some people are totally fine with that, right? If their motivation's lower, they'll sit on the market for 4 months. Okay. So you've got to know what happens if you wait. And more than that, what happens if your plan doesn't work? What's our plan B? If we cannot make this happen, what's our plan B? And we learn a lot about that question, right? How many of you have not asked that question and you come to find out once you've gotten all the way down the road, oh, well, we can just rent it. So it didn't really matter anyway. And you're like, had I known in the very beginning, if we couldn't sell it for this price, they were just going to rent it. Shoo, we could have had a totally different plan for this house, right? So ask those questions up front. You will learn a lot. Okay. So now you're going to find out how ready are they? How motivated are they, right? We're asking these questions. Once you know, you've got two things to do. Okay. So highly motivated, move forward. Highly motivated, move forward. They're hot, keep going. If they're medium motivated, you need to then go to the next step of seeing if there is an opportunity to create some urgency around their motivation. Now, when I say this, what a lot of people hear, and it's totally normal, is encourage them to move. You can't. You can't make them move, guys. You're not gonna. You're not gonna. Their motivation is theirs. You will absolutely not change their motivation. However, could you educate them a little bit more that could potentially create some urgency? Okay, so let's talk about these options and see how you can intertwine these in your conversations around motivation. So first, show the cost of waiting. Okay, an example of this is when we tell our buyers if the interest rates go up another 1%, that's a difference of $300 a month to you and your mortgage payment on average. Okay, are you okay to wait? For the seller, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we see that property values are leveling out or even decreasing. So you said you'd like to sell your property for higher than what the market value is right now. It could potentially be 5 years before we get to that point. Can you afford living here for 5 years? Can your family afford living here for 5 years, right? Can your lifestyle? And can you afford the carrying costs over the next 5 years to end up at potentially the exact same price as we have today? Okay. And here's the thing, guys, we know that and we understand that. It's not what they do every day. So our consumers need you to talk them through all this, right? Again, it's not making them do something they don't want to. It's truly educating them on the decision they're making and making sure they're considering all the options and everything involved in the decision they're making. Okay. The second thing is set deadlines. Okay. These are different deadlines than you're thinking of. So these are not like contract deadlines. However, think about your seller now. Okay. They might be yellow motivation as I do my hair here. Sorry. They might be yellow motivation. And you go out and give them a list of 10 things that need to be done. And your next question is going to be, and how quickly can you have these done so we're ready to hit the market? If they are not very motivated, they're going to push you off. They're going to say, oh, 6 months we need for this, whatever, right? And it's going to be your job to set a deadline for them. Okay, I think we can probably get this done in 60 days. Fantastic. Let's set a deadline then for the photographers to come out on this date. Okay, that'll help us keep everybody moving. Okay, so that's a good one. Listen deeply. Okay, here's what that means. Listening deeply to me is not making excuses when you hear their but. Okay, because it is okay that their motivation isn't there. And as agents, sometimes we say, oh, well, but this is happening right now, so I'm going to let them sit on the market or whatever, right? And you're truly not doing them any justice doing that. So you need to truly listen deeply to their motivation and make sure it's matching up with the market of the time and that they truly can succeed, right? And if they can't or are choosing to not succeed at the level that you've explained that and that it 100% matches their level of motivation. Okay, because if you two are off on that, it is not going to work. Okay, that's also where we get behind the eight ball, right? We start off, we think we're all on the same page, and then we get a month into it where their house is sitting and we're like, ooh, I guess I should have asked some more questions, right? And now we're getting off and they're mad at me about things and that kind of stuff. And maybe I didn't accurately rate their motivation at the time and what my strategy was that I gave them as far as pricing and positioning their house. Make sense? Okay. And set appointments. Okay. So I've always said set appointments. It's because I've come in from a market like this. However, 2021 was the time where I didn't push so hard to not rush out and meet people because they were highly motivated then. Okay, so there was an exception to the rule then. That exception's gone. The very number one way to see how motivated a buyer or seller is to ask for the appointment and see if they will set it. If they won't set an appointment, guys, their motivation already is low. Okay, you may have thought, oh, they're a 999 on everything else, but they won't set that appointment. They are not ready. Okay, and you have to pay attention to that because sometimes we hang on to those leads real closely. They wouldn't set the appointment, but everything else sounded perfect, right? So I'm just going to keep harping on them, not going out and finding another motivated person to fill it, right? They will do something someday, but they are not highly motivated to do it right now. Right? So that's okay. Keep them and go find someone motivated. Okay. All right. Before we go into this next screen, does anyone have any questions or comments so far? Okay, good. And hopefully this feels very relevant in your current business. Yeah? Is it feeling like what you're running into? Okay. So let's look at creating some of the urgency and what I'm going to call flipping the script. Okay. So these are those same comments that were on the first slide for the ready, willing, and able. What the client says, okay? What I want you guys to think about is how can you flip the script to make sure you're truly getting to the bottom of it and truly getting to the bottom of their motivation, okay? And here's some of the questions you can use. But start training your mind this way, right? Like, how can I ask more questions to truly understand where they are in their motivation? Okay, so on the one where they're saying we'll only sell if we find the perfect home or the perfect buyer comes along, right? Your question would be, if I found that perfect buyer today, are you willing to accept a purchase agreement? Right? That's a lot different when you ask it right out like that and then you see what they'd say. If I were to find you the perfect house today, are you ready to write an offer? Okay, so they think they are until you truly ask them the questions, right? Or they think they're not until you truly ask them the questions, right? That's how you're going to get to the bottom of it and flip the script on them and figure out where they are on their motivation and their urgency. Okay, let's try another one. The dream price. This is one we're hearing all the time, right? If I could get my dream price, I'd sell it. If I could sell it for this, right? We have to start having real conversations on, let's talk about the difference between a dream price and the market price, right? Because lots of people want to get whatever they think they should out of their house. And we want them to get that too. I would love for everybody to get $10 for every dollar they put into their house, but I just can't do that. Right. So the reality is you got to talk to them about that. You got to talk to them about the dream price they're wanting versus the actual market price. Guys, let's talk about this from the buyer standpoint. You guys got a lot of these right now. Okay. Unicorns. How many of your buyers are looking for a unicorn? Okay. We have to have this perfect house. We have to have this, and this, and it isn't typically out there, right? These unicorns. The only way to flip the script on the buyers that are looking for unicorns is to truly look back in the history and show them how many unicorns have popped up in the past, however many years. Okay. Because you've got to get on the same page of number one, is this truly a unicorn? Is what they're looking for a dime a dozen that I'm going to see one house a quarter come up in their price point in their area? Or am I going to see 16 a quarter and we're fine? We'll have 4 options every month to choose from. Okay. So number one, you have to determine how unicorny is this product. They want 5 acres in Boone County. How much of a unicorn is that? Right? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Dig into that and find out. Right? And then educate them on that. Set those expectations. It will also help their motivation align. Right? If we know the type of unicorn you're looking for comes every 60 days, how motivated are you going to be when it pops up in 45 days to grab it? Right? Setting those deadlines, aligning those strategies together. Okay, let's look at the third one in the able, right? Are they financially able? Of course, that's getting them in front of a lender. If they won't meet with a lender, their motivation is very low, right? We said that. If they won't pre-qualify, their motivation is very low. Here's the one thing I will say about that. There is a caveat when it comes to first-time home buyers. For whatever reason, first-time home buyers are deathly afraid of the hit the mortgage company might take on their credit, right? How many times do you guys hear that? But are they going to pull my credit and then it's going to ding my credit and that kind of stuff, right? So again, educate them. Make sure they understand that, right? Getting pre-approved is a soft hit, tell them all the things, tell them how valuable it can be and that sort of thing. And then once they're educated and you've created that urgency on why it's important and stuff, now has their motivation changed? If their motivation has still not changed, then you have to figure out what to do next. Okay? So that is the 2 ways we can flip the script on them and we can have more conversations around creating urgency for them. If neither of those things work, we're going to go on to prioritization and organization. Okay? I'm going to do that in 2 screens. But before we do that, we have got to dig into where are these motivated buyers and sellers, right? Where do we go to find the most motivated? Who knows? What would you guys say? I know you hate to say, that's why I like it. You make me work too hard in these sometimes. Totally kidding.
I would say open houses, but I've been working them for a while and haven't had any luck. So maybe not. Maybe I'm
Okay.
not thinking in the
Okay.
right direction.
I think you are thinking in the right direction. Here's what I'm going to say about that though. Heidi, what have you guys experienced as far as how far out are people typically when they come through an open house?
Well, there's less of them, but also
Yep.
the ones that I see are already represented, most of them.
Yep.
So
Yep. That's
it's
creating
hard to
less.
find them when they're not, if they're serious. And
Mhm.
then a lot of times they're not serious. They don't have a represent or a real estate agent. So they're
Yep.
just looking, kicking tires,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yep. They are typically about 12 to 18 months out, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was
Because
trying
guys,
to
where
answer, I
are the
couldn't find
buyers?
it.
Ah, I love it, Anne. That's all right.
Sorry.
You got
You
there.
told me the answer.
Yep. 12 to 18 months out. And here's the thing. So they are motivated. They just may not be motivated now. And your job is to get to them, right? And create that urgency and try to move them up. Talk to them about the cost of waiting, right? And see what you can do with them. Yes, open houses are a very good one. Yeah, here's a good thing to remember about open houses. Guys, where are the buyers that need to write an offer in the next 30 days?
Not there.
With their
Nope.
agent.
Yes, they're with their agent. Whoever said that, they're in another realtor's car, you guys. Yeah, they're not coming in an open house. I'm so sorry. Right? Like it's just the true reality of it. They are truly needing to buy and they're the most highly motivated. They're in their agent's car looking already. Okay, so remember that. Keep that in mind with your pipeline. Now, there are always the exceptions to the rules.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, awesome. So let's go on to where can we find them? So open houses, where else? I want you guys to tell me before I flip the thing. Where else? You guys know it. The number one place always.
Fear.
Zillow?
No.
Sphere.
Okay.
No.
Okay, let's talk about the importance of your sphere when it's shifting like this, guys. Go back to our buckets of motivation. The first, second, and the third could have negative things in all of them, right? They could be facing hardships in their family, with family members, with sizes changing, with all that kind of stuff. They could be facing relocation because of hardships, right? Divorce, financial issues, they're upside down on their mortgage and they can't afford their payment, right? Those are not fun things to pick up the phone and call someone about. And guess what? They need to call someone. And by you being there for them and being constantly available, they will trust you to open up and have you help them through those things. Okay? You've got to remember that, because remember, those motivations are not always positive, fun, exciting things, which are the reason people move.
Mhm.
Okay? And they will be coming more and more as we face this market coming. Okay? So your sphere already trusts you. Here's the other thing. Their referrals become so much more valuable because they trust you. And when someone's facing a divorce or a hardship at their office, guess what? They're going to be real happy to tell them to call you because they trust you immensely with this important stuff and will refer you. Okay? So loving on your sphere is so very important. Here's the other part of your sphere that's so important. Let me flip this because we're going to get there. The other part of your sphere, which is so important, is, you guys hear me say it, picking up your bricks. We need business from today till retirement, right? We need a path of business from now to forever. So I hear people say, yes, I talked to my sphere, but they're not moving till 2027. And I'm like, boom, you need closings in 2027 too. Now we've just done that work. Yeah. Right? So you got to pick up those bricks today and lay them out in 2027. So when you walk up on spring in 2027, all that work you did in 2025 is laid out nicely in front of you. That's how your sphere becomes now business. But you got to know them well enough, right? You got to know when their kid is graduating. So you get invited to the graduation party, right? You know you're in when that happens. And you can help them if they're looking to now downsize because their last kid has graduated, right? Be invested in their changes in life. Be close enough that they can share those things with you. If you are touching base with them every quarter and you know them that well, you know when their marriage is struggling already that they might be talking about a divorce coming up. You already know this stuff. You don't have to have the awkward call and find out, oh God, they divorced and I didn't even know it, right? Ooh, yeah, I kind of might have seen this coming because I knew they were struggling, and right. So hopefully those are some ahas for you of how important it is to stay in touch with your sphere right now, especially as this is shifting. The other part of your sphere that is so important is to make sure it's big enough to support your goals. And if it isn't, be strategic about building it that way. Okay. So Sphere is your number one. Open houses. Heidi nailed it. They are motivated. They are just farther out from motivation. Okay, farther out from motivation. They need more urgency. They need more conversation. For sale by owners and expireds, right? They are at least more motivated than anybody that's put a sign in the yard, right? So while they may not be a 10, they're a 7 or an 8 because they've already gotten that far. Right now, all we have to do is really sit down and talk about it. What are we missing? What's that gap in their motivation? And can you help them bridge it? If not, they go in your database and you keep working on them till they are ready. Okay, so for sale by owners and expireds have already raised their hand saying, I'm motivated, I'm motivated. I just need the right experience and the right agent to help me do it. Okay, online leads, they are motivated. You have to set an appointment with them. Okay. So remember, they're motivated, but it's shifted. Not every person that calls is highly motivated to get in a house now. They might just be feeling it out. They might just be looking. They might just be thinking about it. Right. So make sure you're setting those appointments and working to set those appointments. If you're doing it backwards, you're going to end up wasting a lot of time on unmotivated people and losing time for lead generation because you're busy with unmotivated people. Okay. And then, of course, investors. There are investors of all types that are motivated in every different market. It's your job to figure out what are they investing in now and how do I get in front of what those people are investing in now. Okay, so pay attention to where they're investing, what they're buying, what they're getting rid of, right? Are they selling portfolios? Are they buying portfolios? What are they doing with things? And where can you be assistance there? Okay, so we know where to find them. Now we know what to say. We know how to create urgency to really see how motivated they are. And then, guys, what if they're still not? Is there anything you can do about that? No. Okay. So this is where your pipeline becomes crucial. Okay. You have got to create a pipeline and you've got to visit it weekly. Okay. So you have got to keep everyone in a list. You have got to rank them based on their motivation. Okay. On my pipeline list, I would rate them 1 to 10. My 10s were ready now. They were highly motivated. My 1s were not very motivated. And I had it organized consistently by that number. And every week I could have conversations with them to move them up in motivation or down in motivation. Okay. So make sure you're really having clarity on where your people are in their motivation and how it matches up with the market. And then you have to prioritize your time, your energy around those, right? You cannot chase unmotivated leads. You cannot make unmotivated leads more motivated just because you need a closing in 60 days, right? So don't count on those. Go find more that are more motivated to do something with you now and put those in a follow-up system until you can get to them. Okay, so prioritizing and following up on your leads is the final thing because all these kind of motivated people will be motivated one day. Okay, so convert them. All right, and that is my last little pretty slide. I will stop share and let's just chat. Any ahas or key takeaways from this hour?
I have kind of a question.
Okay, great.
So I got in a mindset where all the sellers are sitting on tons of equity, but I've had quite a few sellers in the last like 12 months where they're getting divorced and they just built a house a year ago. Or I've got an elderly guy who
Get everyone shaking their
bought a
head
house 2 years ago, overpaid, had no inspection.
every day.
They
I'm
are
hearing
going
it.
to have to bring cash to closing to sell their house.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Rachel, that's the market I started in. I learned how to sell real estate talking to people about how much thousands they were going to have to bring to the closing table. It's awful. There
Yeah.
is truly nothing worse. Yeah.
Mm.
And that becomes okay. So ask your question first.
Well, so I clearly need to be vetting sellers and looking more closely at the condition of their house. Some of these were new construction where buyers are buying down rates and they're trying to sell their 1-year-old house when you can build one with builder rate buy downs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then
For
older
less.
homes,
Yep.
like what might they have to fix? I've got a guy, it's not even the buyer being unreasonable. The lender will not approve the loan unless they have a new roof and have mold treated. And so it's not even the buyer. It's like he can't get approved for a loan without some
Yes.
extensive work done to the house.
Yeah. They all get less motivated when this happens. It trickles everywhere, right? When it's more expensive for us, it's more expensive for the bank too,
Yeah.
right? So they are going to get more picky about things and they've got less motivated people too. So yes, it just gets harder. And that is where motivation makes all the difference in the world, Rachel. That's where you're nailing it. Because you have to weigh, where do I go with these people? Just because they want it and would like to, are they highly motivated to do what they need to do in this market, which might mean bring $10,000 to the closing table? I know. And the worst thing we can do is say, oh, try it. We might be able to get you that $10,000. Let's just try it, right? You have to really be honest with them. Here's exactly what the market's saying. It's going to be a huge uphill battle, and we can try whatever you want, but, really make sure you're saying, I'm not quite sure you're able to sell in this market, right? Because
Yeah.
you're going to have to bring money to closing.
Well,
That makes sense?
I hadn't had any experience with lenders requiring so much work be done. So that was new to me.
Yeah. Is it FHA by chance? It probably is. I can't imagine you'd have conditions like that on a conventional
Yeah,
unless it was some sort of
surely it's
rehab
not
loan or
conventional.
something.
It must be FHA. Like it's a
Mm.
pretty strong buyer, but I think they're doing FHA for a little bit lower rate.
Mhm. Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. Are you guys seeing that? I think in my 22 years, I've seen one roof required to be replaced. So if you've got that and other things, that could be an exceptional something you're dealing
Yeah.
with.
And for homeowners insurance, like they can't get insured without a new roof. Like that seems to be tightening
Well,
up too.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Ugh.
think the
Yep.
insurance
Everything
is just
tightens.
ugly and it's going up.
Yep.
Everybody's
Going up.
or not financial, but natural disasters we're all paying for. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
exactly right.
feeling
It's
it.
all tightening down. Yep. We're feeling it, right? And every bit of that affects motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Leanne.
I have a seller in Avon that I it's been on the market for 56 days. We've done one small price reduction and I keep showing them all the statistics like showings at different price bands. I got brave yesterday and said, look, all summer people have been looking more at homes that were just under 400,000 in Avon. That's like the biggest activity level. And so I said to them, like, option is to go down to 410, or if you really want to sell this home, let's go to 399. And they chose the 10 option. So I know they have to sell because we just closed on their new home.
Mm-hmm.
I guess
Okay.
my biggest concern is like when they just keep asking me, what am I doing to sell their house? And
Yeah.
I'm doing all the things,
Always.
open houses,
Yeah.
Facebook, all this stuff. And I just keep, I mean, I've sent them an article. I just really try hard to educate them.
Yes, and you have to. You're doing it right.
But I'm just worried that in 30 days, they're just gonna fire me because I haven't been able to sell their
Okay.
overpriced home.
Yep, you're exactly right. And that's the thing. So, a couple ways you have to check that. So, you have to understand if they're choosing to overprice it, you have to make them say, so, Mr. Seller, am I understanding you're choosing to overprice it on the market value? Okay. And let us be clear, when you choose that, here's what's going to happen. You're going to have less showings. You're going to be on the market longer. You're going to have carrying costs for all of that. Is all of that okay with you?
Okay.
Okay. So you really, really, really have to be very clear on, guys, pricing is a marketing strategy.
Mhm.
And where you price it, do you price it at the market where it will sell? Do you price it below the market where it will sell fast and potentially bid up and not have to negotiate more? Or where is your strategy to price it above the market and sit longer and wait longer and potentially have to reduce, and leave money on the table?
Mhm.
Right? What strategy do we want to choose?
Yeah, I do feel like they're just now starting to move into the new home. So they're probably not, yeah, they would like to sell it,
Motivation is
but they're
changing, right?
yes, yeah. I'm
First
just
time
like,
they make that second mortgage payment, they're going to be highly motivated. And that's what you got to say to them. Here's what I know. You guys don't feel so motivated right now. When you write that first check for the mortgage payment on this house you're not living in, you're going to be ready to reduce it to $399. So
yeah.
do you want to sit and make mortgage payments and all this for the next 2 months, or do you just want to get there now and get this thing sold and off your hands before you move? Okay. So ask them those questions, Leanne. You really have to lay it out on the table for them. And sometimes we do have to say, guys, here's what I'm feeling from you is that maybe we're not quite as motivated right now as we were. Are you guys feeling a little distracted with the new house? Are you feeling overwhelmed with the move? And maybe we just need to take a step back, right? Because sometimes that happens too. But really talking to them, right? I'm gauging that maybe our motivation has shifted a little bit. And while you wanted to try it to sell it, now that we've been on the market a few months, maybe you're not as motivated. Okay. Does that help?
Yeah, I actually labeled their choices yesterday when I sent it over.
Great.
This option, you're less motivated. This option would be,
Good job.
so I didn't even,
And you choose,
and they did.
right? Yeah. And Leanne, I don't know if have you heard me tell the story of the milk? And I won't change the product because then you guys have heard it. If you've heard it, you've heard it, the milk. But if Walmart's selling milk for $16 a gallon, are you going to buy it? No, you're going to go to Kroger and get it for $4 to $6. Okay. If they put out big signs and change their logo and do all this stuff, are you going to pay $16 for the milk? No. It doesn't matter what you do. You can run around their house naked for 10 weeks and no one's going to pay more for their house.
I literally have been around you too long because I did tell my client that same thing. I said, there's
Okay.
no amount of marketing dollars are going to encourage someone to overpay. I said, for example,
That's why they're mad at you.
yeah. And I asked him about another house he wanted that was overpriced. Like, is there anything that they could do to make you pay $600,000 for this $500,000 house? And he's like, no,
Yeah.
I'm like, that you've just, so again,
Yeah.
just like you said, they're not
And-
motivated.
Yep. When motivation, they've got all the excuses in the world, right? They can but themselves out of everything if they're not motivated. When they're highly motivated, it all goes away. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Leanne, listen, I'm the last person to give advice, but have you read the
You
full
are not.
fee agent
Have I read which one, Anne?
The full fee agent,
I haven't.
it's really good. I'm at the
Definitely believe in
Carmel
the
office.
concept.
It's been like 20 years
It,
since I've heard of that, Anne.
it,
I
it's
love it.
really good. And it really gets into like the psychology of it um, and just the way people, it's all emotional. I have found it to be, and
Oh,
we're real big on reading books here at the Carmel office. And I'm telling you,
yeah.
I borrowed it from
Well,
someone here and I've ordered it now.
and this one, you guys, this
Shift.
is all of it. This is all
Okay.
of it. Shift.
Okay.
Yep, the shift book. And I'm not kidding when I say you need to read this every quarter until you know it front to back. You need to read it every quarter till you know it front to back. And I'm not kidding. It's your very best tool in any market for the rest of your real estate. When that first came out, that's what I internalized and created my business off of. Everything I teach you guys is based off of all of that stuff, and it is still completely relevant.
Julie, what was that
Yeah,
book?
so
The
good.
Shift?
Shift. Yep.
Shift.
It's how top real estate agents tackle tough times.
Okay.
And then full fee realtor or full fee agent.
Full fee
I think
agent,
I've heard of
which
both of those. People have
Yeah.
highly recommended them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So really good. And I love that because, right, creating that mindset for yourself to stay in conversations of it is motivation, it is emotion, right? And their emotion is going to be turned back on you. And they are going to blame you for that price if you don't make sure they understand they're choosing it. You're choosing it. Nothing I do is going to sell your overpriced house, right? So we just got to know I can't sell a $16 gallon of milk unless it's the last one in the city. And then I could probably sell it for 160. But you don't have the last house in the city.
Can I ask for advice?
Of
So I
course.
recently released a listing. This gal did not value my expertise, my opinion, the fact that this is what I do all day, every day.
Right.
And I took this listing and she insisted it be listed like $150,000 over market value. Like I told her, maybe you'll get 350. She priced it at 480.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, we'll let the market speak to us. And the market sure did, but she didn't want any feedback from showings because she knows best. So
She knows. Yeah.
why would you want to listen to the people who are touring it and saying no thanks? But I mean, in the beginning it wasn't bad because she was still working on the house. It was an investment. She'd only been inside it once. But like towards the end of the 6 months, all of a sudden she was wanting me to have she wouldn't price reduce, but she was wanting me to have open houses every weekend. And what was I going to do to sell her insanely overpriced house? And I finally just sent her a come to Jesus with all the information. And I was like, she's not going to want to hear a sentence of my assessment. Like I spent a long time on the assessment because I wanted to feel like I did everything I could do. I gave her all the information and I was like, she is going to go crazy and I'm okay mutual releasing. And she did.
Yeah. Good
and
job.
I have not spent 30 seconds regretting that because she was wearing me out, but
that's what they'll do. Non-motivated people will absolutely wear you out. They'll take your confidence. They'll take your time. They'll take your marketing dollars. They'll take your energy from lead generating and finding others.
Yes.
That is your payoff.
Yeah.
Right. That's the decision you're making when you choose to work and prioritize non-motivated buyers and sellers.
Yeah. So I guess
it's costing you.
Yeah. It was starting to cost me too much. It was going to start impacting my ability to chase better leads.
Right.
And so then I had an opportunity to get, it was just like a office, like a floor call. But it was an investor who was wanting me to do all kinds of things. And she wanted me to do it for 2%. And I was like, this is going to be more work than I would
Right.
charge for 3%. So and I kept telling her no. She was begging me to take her listing. And I finally said, this isn't going to work for me. I could already tell she was going to wear me out.
Yeah.
And it would have had
Right.
a negative impact on my current clients, on future clients. So I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know
And you
if I did
guys,
the right thing,
yes,
but I
you
was like,
did. That's
yeah.
what this whole thing is
Mhm.
about. Stop chasing the not
Mm.
motivated, right? You can't chase them. You're not going to make these not motivated people all of a sudden be motivated,
Yeah.
right?
She
That's
was
exactly what we're
motivated at
talking
my
about.
expense.
And
Like she was
would
going
you
to kill me.
And would you say, Julie, just for opportunity's sake, because Rachel is so hard, I feel like I hold on to things like a dang
So hard.
radish. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. But would you say, Julie, because I can see this logic. I'm thinking about the person you just spoke to us about, Rachel, that was 150,000 over. I'm assuming, Rachel, you were hoping like during this process, she would become more reasonable. But
Yes.
Julie, the
And that never
coach,
happened.
and it never
It
happened. But
never
Julie,
happens.
you being our coach, in a perfect
Yeah.
world, would we have just, if we couldn't have come together, would you have just said, hey, listen, we're probably just not going to be able to come together and just not take them to begin with? Okay. And
Yep.
I'm not,
Yep.
Rachel, please
You are
understand.
not in the right market.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my conversation would have been, I totally understand you want 150 more for this. And in 2039, it will be worth that. And you can call me in 2039.
Yeah.
And I'll be here and I'm ready
Yeah.
to be your realtor because that's when we can succeed in this market.
I feel like I learn all my lessons from just a few
Oh.
people.
Yeah, it's true, right? And then build all your processes around what you're learning from those people.
Yeah.
Right. And use that as an example. I've had a seller try to overlist a property, and here's all it did for both of us. Therefore, I've made it my business decision not to set both of us up for failure anymore. So I've chosen to not sell properties that are too aggressively priced because I already know I can't sell $16 milk. There might be people who can. I can't. I
yeah.
don't do that well.
Yeah.
I'm not good. That's not my expertise. I can sell your house. I cannot sell $16 milk.
Yeah. I like that.
Okay. And I just owned that. I'm like, I'm not your agent for that. That is not my area of expertise. There is agents who their area of expertise is overpricing listings, and you can absolutely go find one of those, but I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to succeed. I've never been able to. I've overpriced many listings. I've never gotten them to sell without having to come down where we needed to be. So therefore, I just,
Mhm.
yeah, I can't
I guess it's after
work
you've
miracles.
like been slaughtered with one or two of those, you can speak with confidence. Like I've already gone down this road. I'm not going down it again. I'm wasting
Yep.
your time and my own time.
Yep. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I know, Rachel, that's kind of my motto. Let me have failed 22 years at all this stuff, and you guys just take it from me. Don't
Right.
go do it.
Yeah.
Just take my word for it.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it's exactly right. And you'll run into one, and then you'll make the decision. Will I run into a second or not? And what will I do with them? Right? Like every bad one, you only got to do once.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I feel like even our bad experiences, we learn something from it.
Every time.
Yeah.
Yep. And what I have learned is it always comes down to one question that I didn't ask. And had I known the answer to that, it would have changed the world.
Yeah.
Right. And so then I'd back up and be like, what was that question? And where does it need to be in my process so that
Yeah.
next time I've asked it and we don't end up here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes I don't
It's
ask
true,
the
isn't it?
questions because I'm assuming I know the answers, and that bites me every time.
Yeah.
Every
Every
time,
time.
especially with this motivation, Leanne. This is where it'll bite you every time, because what you heard 3 years ago and what you're hearing today are the same words, different meaning.
Mm.
Right? So we can't assume what they're saying today means the same thing it did in a 2021 market.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's a huge good point. What
Boy,
else?
and does everyone feel like the market is shifting so quickly anymore that like I feel like what I look at a month ago isn't even appropriate for me to have a conversation 4 weeks later.
It's not. It's not. Yep.
I definitely saw that
You're
this
right.
summer.
Well,
Prices that were at the spring are not what they are right now.
yep.
Mhm.
And one of the things I didn't mention, because I said it so much in the past like 6 webinars, but it is pertinent to this too, your weekly seller and buyer updates.
I love
They'll
it.
handle all of this for you. Right?
True.
So if you are sending them an email every week, no showings, no views, no this, no that, these 3 sold, yours didn't, right? They're ultimately going to understand they're not doing what they need to sell. And it isn't you, because every week you're telling them, and here's what I did this week. And I called all these people and I flew the blue balloon over Kroger and I, right, painted all the milk purple and I still can't sell your dang $16 milk.
I know. Is anyone else having challenges with there's a bunch of sheets agents, what 3 or 4 of us that have houses in a particular neighborhood in Westfield, and they are sitting because we are surrounded by new construction
Oh,
and we just
Absolutely.
can't
Gotcha.
compete with buyer rate buy downs.
Yep.
Like, I don't
Right,
think my
and that's a
people are gonna even be able to sell for what they bought their house for 3 years ago. Because 3 years ago, there
And they
wasn't all the
probably
new
can't.
construction.
I
Yeah.
know. And Rachel, in a normal market, it is 8 years before a new construction neighborhood will start to appreciate. 8 years.
I had heard something like 5 to 7, but I believe
8
you on
years.
8.
Yeah. Well, 2021, it probably was 5 to 7. Right, because we were
probably when I
increasing at
learned
such
it.
a higher rate, and we're
Yeah.
back down to where it's going to take longer. And there's so many incentives. Every time these builders start adding incentives, it adds a year to when they can get out of these new construction houses.
Mm. Mm.
Mhm. So it's right, because Gary Keller said it perfect. And I use this constantly in your sphere and everything, but this is a perfect example of they build incentives and they steal business from the future. They're not
Oh.
creating new business. They're just stealing it from the future and changing their motivation.
From the future. Mm.
Stealing from the future. Here's the other way we use this, you guys. If your sphere should create 10 closings every year, and this year it created 14, you likely stole from the future. And your only option is to replace it.
Great news, Julie. If they didn't give you that, then next year.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yep.
I was
Okay.
gonna tell you,
Really important.
ladies, that I helped a couple this year that have been on my sphere list for literally 13 years, and they bought and sold with
That's-
me this year.
Yay.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yay.
Thank
My
you for the
perseverance.
encouragement.
Awesome.
I literally
Yeah, right.
almost deleted them several times, but
Mm.
And how many
That's
people
so
say
good.
this isn't the right market? And it was the perfect market for them. It just took 13 years, right? There are always people buying and selling. It does not matter. It's your job to go find them. All right. That feels like a good one to leave it on. You guys go find them, find
Thank
those motivated
you.
clients. Don't get discouraged and don't waste your time on them.
Yeah.
All
Thank
All
you,
right.
Julie.
Move on. You're
Bye.
welcome. Thanks for
Thank
being here. I'll
you.
see you guys later.